Who are the best recruiting coaches in the Big Ten? How's everybody shaping up in the class of 2026? Does Washington get to 8 wins? That is all on today's Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad, sponsored by Game Time. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Locked On Big Ten Squad. I'm Spencer McLaughlin, your host. Isaiah Hull of Locked On Wolverines is here with Mark Colkin of Locked On USC, Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers, Zach Anderson-Yaxheimer of Locked On UCLA. Roman Tomashoff is going to have a busy day responding to chirps from all over this collection of individuals, including Jay Stevens of Locked On Buckeyes. But that juicy part of the show comes later on because it is recruiting season, everybody. Recruiting season across the board. And Brian Smith of the Portal, and by the way, I'm hosting because Craig Sheeman of Locked On Big Ten ceases to exist. But, not actually, I just don't know where he is this week. But Brian Smith of the Portal Podcast, longtime recruiting analyst, put out his list of the best recruiting coaches in all of college football. Brandon, throw it up for the YouTube audience because this has got just some wonderfully glorious stuff. Kirby Smart is first, Ryan Day third, Dan Lanning fourth, James Franklin fifth. The Big Ten well represented in here. Who should be on the list but isn't? Isaiah, Locked On Wolverines, I'll start with you.
I don't know who shouldn't be on or should be on the list, but I just look at that and I'm like, okay, wow. A lot of big spenders there generally, right? Like NIL, some of them even before NIL became an actual thing. So that's not terribly surprising. I look at Mario Cristobal in particular there, your former guy over in Oregon before he departed. It's funny because the Big Ten does not have the same recruiting prowess as the SEC. So, and a lot of that is because of, I think, the NIL, and you look at how NIL has changed, and it's like, okay, Ohio State has long been that school, but now you're starting to see the Michigans and the Washingtons, USC's kind of getting back to where it used to be. I think Lincoln Riley should absolutely be up there. I think he's done an amazing job recruiting. Look at their class right now. I mean, it's full. Right now, it looks like they're going to take about 70 guys this cycle, so that's exciting. But obviously, I got to give a nod to Sharon Moore, who's had arguably the best class even from before Jim Harbaugh. It was a heck of a class this last year. So I think the Big Ten is certainly on the rise. Lincoln Riley, Jed Fish, and I think Sharon Moore should probably be up a bit higher there.
Can't believe Deshaun Foster got left off the list. Absolutely stunned by that omission by Brian there. But by the way, Mark, remember Isaiah said that USC is getting back close to where they were. Did they have like the 0th ranked recruiting class back in the day? Is that something I just don't remember?
I don't know what the 0th means, but they have
higher than first.
They have the number 1 recruiting class right now. Isaiah mentioned big spenders. I mean, USC isn't bashful this year as far as big spending. So I like Brian Smith. I think he's a really good guy. I think this list he compiled, kind of trash. So
it's hurtful.
Wow.
It's hurtful to one of our own people.
He's been on the show. I've been on his show. Great guy. This list, not so much.
Is there any major objection you have that isn't centered around Lincoln Riley not being one of the 12 best recruiters in college football?
Why is Brent Venables on this list? I mean,
I think it's a valid objection.
I wouldn't put Mike Elko on this list either, honestly.
I mean, seriously. I just start with that name, and once I have one, that's all I need to say. That's crap.
What? Okay, well, that's boy. So if you're not a perfect 12 for 12 in agreement with what Mark's got, you suck. You suck. Goins, do you think Curt Cignetti could ever find his way onto this list? Remember, this is just a recruiting evaluation, not overall coach. You got to severance those two things. Kind of like how my Audi Oregon fans appearing on the show today. But Goins, could you ever see Cignetti getting on this list?
I think it's funny because we look at this list and it's top recruiters, right? It's the top recruiting head coaches. And that doesn't mean you just have to have the top class every year to be on the list. I think when you look at a team like Indiana, we're never going to be a top 5 recruiting class in college football. We know that. But if you look at what Cignetti is doing compared to what Indiana used to do, it's night and day. So I think he deserves some respect. I think he deserves some flowers and some honors. Could he be a top 15 recruiter in the country? Yeah, I think so. And I think Indiana could be too because of the facilities, the money, and then if you keep winning. But we're not fooling ourselves. It'll never be Kurt Cignetti above guys like Dan Lanning on a list like this. But I think Cignetti could be up there and get a little love. Sure.
I like that comparison in particular a lot. Tough guy to get past, that Dan Lanning. He recruits pretty well. Zach, by the way, recruiting in the traditional sense is when you go out and get a bunch of really talented high school kids and bring them to your football team. No
Chip
reason
ever
in
do that for you
particular.
guys?
What's that?
Did Chip do that for you guys? Because he didn't do that at UCLA.
He kind of did. He fair point. There's not a strong groundwork of ingrained recruiting success on the high school trail out there. I mean, at Oregon, Chip had top 15 classes, but he never cracked the top 10. He had a couple big time guys, but mostly it was like, just get me to Saturday.
I mean, Deshaun Foster's trying to do his best. He's obviously not going to be on this list. I mean, it'll be spicy. What happens if Nico just blows up in every good sense of the term and it goes well with what he did in the offseason? But I think the biggest thing, do we see Fran Brown on that list from Syracuse?
No, we do. We do.
That is what surprised me the most. And, if you're Deshaun Foster, I think you want to be the Fran Brown on that list, getting to the top 10 above Lane Kiffin. You're just sneaking in there, making some noise. I think that's what UCLA is trying to aim when it comes to recruiting, and Deshaun Foster is just trying to change that from a UCLA perspective.
Roman, I'm going to quote your head coach here, or from a T-shirt that got made. Where's Washington?
Wow, you're just really pulling out all the big guns today, Spencer.
That's why I'm up here and you're down there.
Yeah, this is where you always put me, just because you're afraid of having me anywhere closer to you.
I don't actually choose where you go on the show. I don't pick any of that. That's completely arbitrary.
I got to say, I appreciate Isaiah for showing up and shouting out Jed Fish so I don't look like the only guy that's doing that, because Washington has done a really good job on the recruiting trail in the cycle. Spencer, as you know, flipping one of Oregon's top recruits in 5-star offensive tackle Cody Green, keeping the number 1 player at home over Oregon and Ohio State, and Derek Coleman-Bruce, a really talented edge rusher. And they're making a push for 5-star cornerback Brandon Arrington as well, who was on an official visit here last weekend and really seems to be impressed by what was going on. And as Washington continues to level up in resources, in facilities, in all these other things, and remind everybody that, hey, in the Pac-12 era, this was the only team that went to the college football playoff twice, RIP Pac-12. But this is a program that has everything that it needs to succeed and was in the national championship more recently than most of the schools that are represented here today. Isaiah, we don't need to get into that today. Thank you.
Isaiah, I feel like a political debate moderator here. He mentioned you. You have the right to respond if you'd like.
No, you know what? I had a great time in Houston. That's all I remember.
Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes. Ryan Day, 3rd best recruiter in all of college football. Of course, he's got the Ohio State logo and money behind him, but it's the same conversation you can have with a bunch of elite programs. Like, frankly, from just a recruiting standpoint, I think the most objectionable name on the list is Mike Elko at Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher, for all his faults as a coach, as a recruiter, he brought in the number 1 class, and Texas A&M is good. But I mean, I think he's just kind of that. Like, he's not punching above his weight. Where do you feel like Ryan Day is as a recruiter?
Pretty good, above average, one of the better ones in the country. It is not just Ryan Day himself. He does a great job of hiring guys that are able to recruit their own positions, and he is the face of the program, being the head coach, so he does have final say-so. But Brian Hartline, James Laurinaitis, former Buckeyes that are doing great things as assistant head coaches there. I think Ryan Day's realized he has to get the right guys to be on his assistant coaching staff, and we see it every week in the fall. Isaiah, don't say anything about this. When Ohio State does play well and they actually have great game plans, it's not just Ryan Day, it's the assistant coaches. Well, that shows up in recruiting too. Ohio State already has 4 receivers in their recruiting class for 2026, and the areas where they have issues right now in that recruiting class coming up, it's the same issues they've already had. So Ryan Day, I think, is going to make a couple hires, at least one hire probably after the season to fix some of the recruiting issues they've had recently. But it's not just Ryan Day. It's about a lot of his assistant coaches being great recruiters.
I, for one, am shocked that Ohio State is recruiting the wide receiver position at an elite level. You talk about blindsided on the trail. I can't believe we're seeing that. I also hate that we live in a world where James Laurinaitis is a coach in college football. I hate that that's the world we live in, but welcome to 2025. We're going to go in a little bit more detail on every class represented here, and we will indeed get to Washington's win total in all its glory. Still more to come on the Locked On Big Ten Squad. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. The finals get underway tonight as this episode drops, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there has never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off and live, with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And if you want to bet on college football, which you might because you're listening to or watching this show, guess what you can do? You can do that over at FanDuel. You've got everything you could possibly want. Individual games can be wagered upon, including the first games of the year like Kansas State, Iowa State over in Ireland on August 23rd. You can bet on win totals. You can bet on national title odds, conference championship odds for every team. Your team is on there. No matter who that team is in the FBS ranks, you can bet on them, so make sure you go check out FanDuel. And if you are new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's why you should go check them out and make every moment more, not less, more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's go school by school here. I'll give a quick synopsis first on where Oregon's at. The Ducks are needing
Next.
a big.
Great job,
I
Brandon.
like this better. Let's leave it like that.
Saw that one coming. Mark, I will shout out. I will give props to the USC Twitter account. I thought that was funny. Like, I just full disclosure, I saw that. I laughed. If Oregon fans saw Oregon doing that to someone else, they would laugh. It was funny. But I don't think Oregon's getting a third straight top 5 class. They're going to leave some for the rest of everybody else. I expect them to get a top 10 class. They've got some work to do. June should be a busy month. If not, it'll be a disaster time over on Locked On Ducks. But Mark, what's the biggest concern, if any, for USC's recruiting class? That they won't get to 50 players this cycle?
Yeah, that is really the concern right now. Again, target number is 35. They just got Mark Bowman. They're cashing the check for him. There's no doubt about that. We don't have.
I thought that made college football the worst place on planet Earth. Is it okay now that USC's doing it? Is that how this is played?
I tweeted this out. I actually said, look, everybody wanted to play the NIL game. USC says, all right, we got next. Now everybody's mad that USC's in the game. You can't have it both ways. So, look, right now they're just trying to fill in the holes. There's a couple more players out there. They're anticipating Talanoa Ely committing in the next couple of weeks. Official visits start. They started this week. Brandon Arrington, he'll be coming up soon. I know somebody dropped his name earlier. But at this point, it's just a matter of, do they get to 35 and do they hold on to number 1? They're going to have a top 5 class. There's no doubt about it.
I love the someone dropped his name earlier, just confirming once again, Mark is only 50% paying attention at most when he's not speaking.
All that top 12 list of coaches for like 30 seconds. I couldn't remember. Whoever brought up Fran Brown, thank you. You made my point for me.
I feel like Mark is like a dog. He has no sense of time, so he just like shows up in these things and then he's gone before. See, Mark's gone now.
Let's just
Mark's
say
out.
USC every 30 seconds and see if that keeps Mark engaged the whole time.
Yeah. All right, Goins, go ahead. USC say USC every 30 seconds challenge, but talk about Indiana just to keep Mark from falling asleep.
I love it. Well, Indiana's flirting with a top 30 class at the moment. It's only getting better. 10 commits in 2026. 7 different states represented. California, home of USC, is not on that list, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get one eventually. We got a 4-star safety. We got a bunch of 3-stars. Look, we're making progress. It's better than what it used to be. And if you start signing top 25 classes at Indiana, you're doing something right. So everything is good over here. We're not USC, but we're getting there, and everything's just fine on the football side.
That was seamless. That was really good. I thought it was just going to be a random. I think Indiana USC is doing a good job, but like you worked it into the conversation. That's a pro move. Jay, go ahead and try and top that.
I don't know if I can. That was very good, Jacob. But Ohio State currently has 13 guys verbally committed. They'll probably have a top 3 or top 5 class. Number one's always the goal, but in my estimation, and my goal is always top 5 at worst, top 3. You're doing way better than most schools in the country. 4 receivers are already verbally committed, as well as 4 defensive backs. The issue, like it has been over the past couple of years, O-line recruiting is getting better, but it's still a slight issue. They have 3 guys already verbally committed there. The worst part is D-line. No guys committed currently, which has been a trend for Ohio State. It is one that Larry Johnson has been struggling to get over the hump of securing elite guys or just securing guys in general early in the cycle. The hope is that by the end of June, you get 2 to 3 guys to verbally commit, and then you get 3 more by the early signing day. But we got to wait and see what's going on there. Things are going well in Columbus. Official visits are going well, and I expect some guys to commit over the next few days.
Isaiah, how are things in Ann Arbor on the trail?
That's one of those things that every year at this time, I always end up having to put out at least one show to tell everyone to calm the F down, because everyone it's like Michigan's got 7 commits right now, right? And this is typical of, you look, they are all looking, and this is just to keep Mark's attention. They're all looking at USC and saying like, wow, look, they got a full class already. We want to be that. But Michigan's always had like 5, 6, 7. Every now and again, they'll surprise and have like 10 guys around now. So they've got 7. They've got 2 tight ends. So it's still Michigan football. Hasn't changed completely. But all their top targets for the most part are still out there and on the board. Savion Hyder being the main one, the running back, 5-star out of Virginia. They had some pretty good visitors this week. Shadarius Tootle, who's committed to Auburn. Brady Marchese, who's committed to Georgia.
Can you say that name for us again? Because that's top 5 in college football once he gets there.
It's the most amazing name in college football. Shadarius Tootle. He absolutely. I want to see him at Michigan strictly so that I can say that name frequently.
Oh man, that's a play-by-play announcer's dream, is to be able to make, make kind of, not jabs, you know what I'm saying, creative calls with Shadarius Tootle. That's chef's kiss. Zach, down in Bruin country, is there such a thing as recruiting expectations?
1, USC sucks. 2, let's get right to it. 2, yeah, UCLA in this month of May heading into June went from non-existent 2026 recruiting from the end of 24 into 25, and then they had a big boom, 4 commits, and UCLA looks good for getting Micah Smith, Champ Smith, out of the state of Florida potentially with his upcoming commitment later this weekend in the first week of June. If they get him, that could be a huge boost to the offensive line. Our own Brian Smith, I know you don't like him, Mark, over there at USC, but he did say that would be a plug-and-play offensive lineman as a freshman, which would be huge for UCLA. So maybe this could be the start of something big for Deshaun Foster.
Roman, where does Washington's class finish in 2026?
I think there's a chance it ends up finishing top 15.
God, you're just burgeoning with confidence over there.
I really am kind of going back and forth on this one day by day, where certain days it's like, oh, maybe they're going to end up with this guy. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe they are. But they beat out USC. I got to get in there for a 4-star safety, Gavin Day. A couple of days ago, I love watching his film. They also went out and grabbed 6'8", 350-pound Dominic Harris from Nevada as well. So you're getting a couple of big needs in this class.
Too tall.
Too tall. Yeah, too tall.
Too tall.
Where I really want to see Washington in this class just highlight is defensive line. They're in a battle with Ohio State, it looks like, for four-star defensive lineman Kari Wilder from down in Southern California in USC territory. But I just look around this class, and I think they're going to end up with four-star defensive lineman David Schwartzel from here in Seattle. And they might end up with 5, 6, even 7 defensive line guys from the West Coast in general, maybe going a little bit further out to Colorado, maybe into Texas for one guy. So I'm curious to see how it works out, but if they land some of their top targets in the defensive line, I'm pretty confident this will be a top 15 class.
I'm pretty confident Roman's going to take Washington over 7.5 wins next year. Where does everybody else land? The fun stuff coming up next. Just the most pristine transition time right there. Brandon's going to blame his computer. So, Roman, would you like to? I'm going to offer you this courtesy because I'm just the nicest duck guy that ever existed, quite frankly. Would you like to go first or last?
I've been considering this the entire time, so I appreciate you asking. I want to go last.
Okay, great. You're going first. So 7.5, Roman. We're going in that order. And by the way, I'm sad I don't have the pillow, but I did find something that's gonna suffice in the meantime. We got an actual now. This is a wooden mallard duck. This is a pristine piece of office decor. And I thought it deserved a front and center appearance. It's got a little, Oregon Mallard thing right there. I thought it deserved its own showcase today. Just for today's show. There might be one other squad show sometime in the future where it shows up again, but I thought this was worthy of presenting to all of you out there on YouTube. And if you're listening on podcast, well, thanks for doing that. But you're missing out on the beauty of this wooden mallet. I don't even know how old this is. It might have been made yesterday. It's in such pristine condition. So anyway, on that note, Brandon, you can... What?
Where does one get that?
Oh, dude,
everybody in Oregon owns one. They all have one in their house.
Yeah, we all made it in our covered wagon trip out to the West Coast.
I have a talking fish above mine.
You have a what?
One of those talking fish that you hang on the wall.
Oh, nice. You should get a real microphone.
Well, then here's Spencer. If you want to, talk about the office.
I understand your jealousy, but can we let Roman talk?
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was getting. So Roman, go ahead.
USC.
Spencer, you're starting off on a really great note. If you're going to bring the mallard in and, talk about the office and everything, since all of that was made famous by a University of Washington alum, if you want to go down that road. So thank you for all this. No, I do have Washington in the over this season. I look at who's coming into Husky Stadium this year. Last year, Washington had to go on the road to play 3 college football playoff teams, as Jacob Spencer, and he's not here, but our good buddy Zach Sako knows. So that doesn't have to happen this year, which is great. You have to go to Michigan. You have to go to Wisconsin. That's going to be tough. I feel like they're going to end up at best splitting there, but I don't think Maryland is going to be all that great this year. Wazoo is certainly taking a step down. Washington State, for RIP Pac-12, all those people out there. I'm not too high on where they're going to be. And then going down to UCLA at the end of November to play Nico and everything going on down there. I like that Nico has a strong arm. That's about the only thing I can say there. And I look at Washington's corner duo of Takario Davis and Ephesians Prysock. I'm really high on what they can be. The upgrades that you made in the trenches along the defensive line, you go and you add 6 players to the front 7, 3 at defensive tackle, 3 at linebacker. I like where you're going there. The offensive line certainly can't be any worse than it was last year. And if it's average at best behind Damon Williams, who really looks like he's going to take a big step forward this year, I absolutely love where Washington can be with this high-end potential of Demond, Jonah Coleman being back for his senior year. Denzel Boston looks like he could be the second best receiver in the Big Ten. I'm not going to disrespect Jeremiah Smith like that, but he certainly looks like he could be a first-round pick, and I love where this team can be this season. So, yeah. Over.
By the way, this year maybe Jonah Coleman will run for more than 9 feet against Oregon at home.
That's more than what Oregon ran for in the Rose Bowl. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. Did that game involve Washington or not? I forgot.
No, but Oregon seems to love doing that too. So I
playing in the Rose Bowl. Indeed. They have done it more than Washington in my lifetime. Yeah, it's fact of life. Anyway, Zach, did you hear the slander that was directed at your UCLA Bruins? I would never do such a thing, but Roman so rudely just wrote off the idea that they could go down to UCLA and lose a football game. Are you going to sit there and take that for Deshaun Foster's first year with Nico in what will be, what is that, game 11 late in the schedule?
Yeah, that'll be a big game deciding whether Washington gets to bowl eligibility or not.
Hey, how'd that work out last year?
In all honesty, I think Washington will be better than last year for sure. And why not we get a little bit of both, right? They can hit the over and UCLA gets a win, a big upset win at the end of the year. Let's have all parties be happy. I'm not sure how that would happen to hit over 7.5 wins and a UCLA win over Washington. Sounds a little ridiculous, but I'll be the ridiculous one.
But by the way, I would like to point out something that you mentioned earlier, Roman. My guy Tony Castricone, who does a great job for Washington on the radio broadcast, has pointed out several times this year, Washington's home slate is kind of epic. It's very epic, but their road slate includes a game to Michigan. Isaiah, are you worried about Washington at all going to Ann Arbor? Because many years ago, Washington went out there for what was then a non-conference game. It didn't go very well for the Huskies, if my memory is correct. But Isaiah, perhaps you can refresh that memory for how that game was.
Oh, the Phil Brabs game, right? The one where he kicked the game winner there at the very end. Yeah, that didn't go well for Washington. I didn't think
Roman, that was what you were talking about.
No, it wasn't what I was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't think that's what you were talking
about. Didn't Washington go there like 4 years ago and get stomped?
The John Donovan.
Oh, that
was.
That game was so uncompetitive. Isaiah forgot about it.
Yeah, we all try to forget about that game.
Even Michigan fans were trying to forget about it because Michigan just kept running and running and running and running. No offense, Roman, but they're still running against Washington.
No, not taking. That was a John Donovan year. We throw that out.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. I've got 7 wins just baseline for Washington. I'm going to go over because I think they're going to sweep the non-conference. They've got Maryland, Rutgers, Purdue. No offense to you, Zach, but I do think that they'll beat UCLA. So the question is, can they get Ohio State, Illinois, Wisconsin, or Oregon? They would just need one more to get there. And I think the big thing is that they were undefeated at home last year. Not good on the road, but really good at home. So can they surprise Ohio State? I know Jed Fish. I love Jed Fish from his time at Michigan. I have faith that he's going to find a way. So I'm going to go with the over.
Jay Stevens, Josh Pate picked Ohio State losing to Washington as one of the potential upsets of the year. I mean, we all have incorrect takes sometimes, right?
Spencer was fuming.
Yeah, that is true. The one thing about Ohio State, Spence, you know this very well, they don't travel out west in the season, in this expanded format of the Big Ten. They don't play their best game. The difference is Washington does not have the talent that Oregon has. So I actually do have this game penciled in as an Ohio State win. Roman, I'm going with the over. I am like Isaiah, though. I think they have 7 wins just by looking at the schedule very easily. Just glossing over it, you can easily see 7. And I'd be shocked if they didn't win one more. So I won't take much time. I got Washington. Sorry, not Oregon. Washington with the over.
Just goes to show you that no matter what happens, Oregon is in Ohio State's head at all times.
Let's not forget about the Rose Bowl.
Your statement stands. Goins, your assessment of Washington. Is anyone going to take the under with me here? Anybody?
I really thought I was going to be that person, but looking through the schedule again, Isaiah nailed it. Jay backed it up. I might triple down here. Good thing for Washington. They don't play Indiana, so they're good there. They don't have to play, wake up, Mark, USC, so you're probably good there. And your non-conference slate is bad. Indiana can attest to that. We know what that's like. You're going to beat UCLA. Sorry, Zach. You're going to beat Purdue because they're terrible. All you got to do, is win a game in there somewhere. I don't like it. I don't feel good about it, but I'll take Washington over 7.5 and have them be an 8-win team this year.
You
Mark,
should feel good about it.
5 overs so far selected. Are you going to save the graphic?
No, they're going 6. Make it 6. They're going over. I can make the argument they can get to 9 wins. I mean, look at we're talking about their schedule. It is easy. It's Charmin soft. Colorado State, UC Davis, they should be 2-0.
They have Ohio State, Michigan, Illinois, and Oregon on it. I don't know about Charmin soft.
I know you think the show's all about Oregon, but it's not. So let me finish. You get the bye week, right? Then you got the Washington State game. they should win that game. Ohio State, I understand where Josh Pate's coming from. Jay it's early in the season. They're traveling west. That is a upset alert game. I anticipate Ohio State winning that game. With that said, Michigan lost, but you're going to beat Rutgers. You're hosting Illinois. That's a win at home for Washington. Should be a win at home for Washington. Another bye week. You go out to Wisconsin. Who cares? Right? Purdue, that's a win. UCLA, that's definitely a win for Washington. Oregon, I love watching that game. Go Huskies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the spirit. Gosh, November at Autzen Stadium is going to be a fun time. I mean, a fun time, Mark. I hope
it's going to be in Washington, Spencer.
No, I meant when USC goes to Autzen. I'm just.
Oh, so wait. So hold on. Now all of a sudden it can be about other teams.
No.
That wasn't okay.
The meaning of my jab has been completely misinterpreted here, and it's very hurtful. It's very hurtful to see you try and twist my words. All right, I am Save the Graphic guy, mallard in hands, because I don't want to drop that thing. It's really nice.
Or you don't have the strength to hold it with one hand.
I mean, I haven't touched a weight in 5.5 years, so you might be onto something there. But look, if not for anything other than the fact that I cannot, in good conscience, take Washington as an over, give me the under. I am Save the Graphic guy. The home slate is brutal. Husky Stadium is a formidable place to play. I have not, nor will I ever deny it. It is also a beautiful place to play. I'm a sucker for the water. But the teams that are coming through are just a lot more challenging than last year. You don't have USC at 6-6 coming into town. You've got Oregon, Ohio State, and Illinois, one of the most underrated teams in maybe all of college football, certainly in the Big Ten. Going to Wisconsin is tough. That upset loss to UC Davis is going to sting real bad, but Roman, your reaction show is going to go bonkers. It's going to go crazy, and it's going to be real good for you. So it's going to be a fun year for Husky fans going to Husky Stadium. My uncle's a lifelong season ticket holder. I'm sure he'll enjoy the matchups. They'll be great. But give me the under 7.5 for Washington. Roman, you can close this one out since it is about your team.
Well, Spencer, I'm gonna just remind everyone here that Washington is a team that people should be really, really excited about this season. I absolutely love what Jed Fish is building. He's done a really good job taking what was a truly horrible situation last year. When you think about 44 players leaving, you got to rebuild truly everything. You had 21 new starters by the time the season rolled around from what you had in January when you were in the national championship. So I'm really excited about what this team can be. Like I said, there's a lot of star power moving forward when this is.
Are you done? Are you done?
Hey man, let me give you a chance here before you fall asleep like Mark.
I was doing my best Mark impression. My bad.
Yeah, and you're both doing your best Joe Biden impression. Continue.
I really am excited. I think there's a lot of high-end talent on this team. I think that there's going to be 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft when we think about Takario Davis and Denzel Boston. And by the end of the year, they're going to hit the over. People are going to say, hey, watch out for Washington moving forward.
All right. Well, we'll close it there for the week.
That's your job.
What? Yeah, that's what do you think I was about to do? I was about to go.
You're not going fast enough. Go faster. Do better.
Okay, you want me to go faster? Watch this. Mark Colkin, Locked On USC. Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes. Isaiah Hole, Locked On Wolverines. Zach Anderson, Yoxheimer, Locked On UCLA. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies. I'm Spencer McLaughlin, Locked On Ducks and Locked On College Football. We'll see you next time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Punk.